Hey guys,
What are we talking about today?
we're going to talk about how to work through disconnection.
Hey, I'm Sammy.
I'm Spencer Robbins, and we run Blamefree.
If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, like, and share it with a friend.
Do it. Do it now.
Do it.
Do it.
What did I get drug into right now?
Listen, disconnection, if you're married or in any kind of close relationship, is a very readily available option all over the time.
Readily relatable.
Readily relatable. It happens a lot. There are a lot of things that can happen. Misunderstanding.
So many things.
Confrontation. Saying something poorly and negatively affecting the person
Straight
you
up
love.
fist fights.
No,
not for us, but
you can't joke about that.
can't-
Remember,
I'm so sorry.
You two people don't know who we are, and they don't know that doesn't
I'm
happen.
sorry, guys. We don't do that.
We joke about things that sound really unhealthy, and it's humor because it's so far from the truth for us.
It's true.
The point of this video is how to work through a disconnection because it happens all of the time. And I think the first thing, I'll let you hit on the first thing that you just ended on of like different normals.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. When you're stepping into a deep connection with somebody that is not yourself, you have very different normals.
True.
You know, when Sammy and I moved in together after getting married, I had been very happily single for about, I don't know, 5 years. I'd had like on and off dating relationships, but I had built a life around things that were really comfortable for me. And with that came a lot of disassociation. But also, I just liked functioning where I was really on for work 10 to 12 hours a day and actually really enjoyed working that much because I was in sales and marketing and I was building things and I loved that. But then I would turn off and I would just want to go out and hang out with people or be alone for 3 or 4 days a week. And then when we got married, there's all this time for connection. There's all this, desire on both sides for new things. There's the clashing of two normals. Sammy functioned a certain way in her life, and then those two things came together. And there's a lot of things we have to navigate.
And men and women tend to function different, even though every person has a different normal. Men and women especially function different.
Totally. But what happens is if you don't understand that there are different expectations and different normals, there might be blame language you might use for thinking that somebody is doing life wrong.
Or,
Which is funny.
Let's pull this example in Spence. So we obviously run a business together, and so we work from home together. So he's around all of the time, and he's in work mode, which means he's not paying attention to me at all.
Oh, no.
Sometimes he doesn't hear me. Sometimes he hears me and he doesn't respond because he's like, I've got a priority in front of me. Just because I'm at home with you doesn't mean I'm accessible for connection. But
We have 30, yeah. Well, I want to just add a little bit more to that.
I want to keep it short.
Okay, but it's fine. But we also have 30 team members. We also have a lot of tasks. We have people in and out of our house.
Even if we didn't have as much demand, you would still have to work, and there would still have to be boundaries over that. So if I'm working around him, for example, all day long, but we're not connecting, sometimes it's easy for me to just feel disconnected from him.
Yeah.
But I have to recognize he's got a different normal than me. I can flow in and out of work mode to connection, and oftentimes women are more readily, they're more ready for emotional connection than men are typically. And so even in that, we just sat down to record something, and I was like, I feel disconnected from you. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry you're feeling that. And I was like, yeah. And so 2 things. Blame-free language, which I'm personally learning about right now, because I didn't even know, I never feel blame in my heart. Like I might say, you feel distant to me. And to me, what I think I'm communicating is it feels like there's space between us. I don't feel like in my heart I'm saying you're the problem or you're distant or there's something on your end happening. I'm meaning to communicate. It feels like there's distance between us. But anytime you say you feel distance, it's attached to blame.
Yeah.
And so what I have learned to do recently is say, I feel distant from you, because he might feel totally connected to me and just be expressing it differently.
It's also just loving language for me too, knowing my triggers with my past too. It's
Feeling
because
blamed.
I took over responsibility in my relationship with mom and people
Yeah.
to manage them and manage their pain and disappointments.
Yeah. So ownershipy language, aka
Ownershipy. Use ownershipy language.
AKA not blamey language. So I'm feeling this and not saying I'm feeling like you're being distant. That is not ownershipy feelings. That's still attached to blame. But then whenever you're like letting someone in and you're communicating in an ownershipy way, it's really helpful whenever there's validation present on your end and on their end. It's the number one way to diffuse something, and it's the easiest way that I've felt connected. So even whenever I said, I feel distant from you, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that. He's just validating. He's like, you know, that makes sense. We've been next to each other for a couple days and we haven't had good quality connection. And I could be like, yeah, that's sad. I feel sad about that. I miss you. All right. We're done.
Yeah, and even that, it's like we might just have two different ideas of what's quality connection, you know, and that's something that we get to sort out in our, you know, in our lives and with our marriage, and it's something we get to learn. But the less you use blame language or language that can be making something that is your responsibility to manage somebody else's, the less you can do that, the easier it's going to be to be able to share feelings and have people respond well, to give each other love, to be able to navigate messes and pain together and on the same side of the mess.
And whenever you're doing that together, I think it's really important for you to be okay, us to be okay with having two totally different experiences of connection or life or an event that happens or a conversation, and recognize both of our experiences of this are valid. So I want to validate yours, but I'm also not going to validate yours and shove mine, or I'm not going to shove yours and then try to just get validation from mine. I'm going to recognize like both of us have really valid experiences. There's no right and wrong. There's no good and bad. And so I'm going to be okay that I have a different code book than you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay if I think like a really good way to diffuse it and to create connection in those moments, in especially a dating or relationship or even an intimate friendship and marriage, is asking like, what does connection look like for you? So if we're having disconnection because I have pain that we haven't had good quality time, it might be a good conversation for me to understand his code book and be like, what does good quality connection look like for you? So that I can understand you, and so that I don't think that you're the problem, but so that I could get a good grip for what you need, and then hope that you'll seek to understand what I need so that we can meet each other in that.
Yeah.
So
if you're desiring more connection than the person that you're with, it's something that I think there's two things that you want to go in the process of doing. One, understanding like, where is this pain actually coming from? Have I felt this as a child? Did I feel this with mom and with dad? Did I feel this as a kid with my friendships? In relationships, have I frequently felt known, seen, loved, or has that been a common pain point or thread in my life? You know, if that has been common in dating relationships or in other relationships in your past, there's a journey you can go on individually, you know, but still, if you're desiring more connection and the other person may not be desiring that, there's a way to bring that up in a way that it doesn't make it their fault. And it's also not saying like, hey, I feel like what we do in a lot of prophetic cultures and Christian cultures is we say, I feel, and then attach it to a judgment or a discernment. You know, I feel like you're just, really unhappy in life. I just feel like your hopelessness is really affecting the environment here. I feel like you don't really like me. Well, it's like, well, no, that's actually an assumption that you're making, that you're attaching. Well, I said I feel, but it's actually attaching that to an assumption. It doesn't help the other person actually make adjustments to love you, and actually makes them responsible for your pain, which isn't okay. In truly victim situations where someone is abusive, that's different. And so obviously we're not talking to those types of scenarios, but you have to own your pain and your needs in relationship if you're going to succeed.
And if you're one of those people that you keep finding yourself feeling the same things over and over again, or with multiple different people, whether it's a boyfriend and a friend and another friend, or in every single relationship with a man or woman, you feel this pattern of disappointment or this pattern of I'm not wanted or I feel rejected or whatever the theme of pain is, the chances are it's most the chances are is it's most likely childhood pain that's coming to the surface because it's ready to be healed. And until you have the tools in the process to learn how to go on that journey to heal that little girl or that little boy in you, that pain is going to keep trying to be purged over and over and over again, and it's going to end up bringing disconnection in relationship. So if you want to go on that journey, then look into our programs, watch our course so that you can go on a journey. But I hope that this video is helpful for you. I know it's just a few little snippets on how to work through disconnection, but it's ownership-y, blame-free language and validation.
Yeah, and if anything, just lean into Holy Spirit and surrender what He's doing into your life. And, if you are praying about taking steps into getting leadership or counseling or coaching or something, definitely look into us, check out our free training, and we hope this was a blessing for you. Blessful. Wow.
I hope that this was blessful for you.
We hope this was blessful. I'm going to stick with it. We're going to keep it.
Bye, guys.